Okay, so before I begin this, I just want to say that I love the Arkham games. In fact, it could be my favourite game series. And I also don't want it to seem like I'm bashing the developers at Rocksteady for their hard work, because I'm not. Also, this is my personal opinion, and so with that said, here we go. This is why I think Arkham Knight is a bad Arkham game, but a good game. This was the game which was meant to have the full Gotham City, a massive sprawling open world Gotham that we had all wanted from the Asylum days. But did anyone else feel like Knight's Gotham was actually really empty, and had less detail put into it than Arkham City? I mean, look at a comparison between both games. Which one looks more detailed and more interesting to you? The city was also a major letdown in terms of size and scale, and I don't mean gameplay area size, that was fine, but the actual size of the buildings and towers. This is what the skyline in Arkham City looks like, with massive skyscrapers and towering structures. It looks amazing. And this is what we got. It looks smaller than some of the buildings in Arkham City. The concept art shows what Gotham should have looked like, and the final product is nowhere near close. Also, splitting it up into 3 islands just made it seem even smaller. It was pretty much 3 separate, less interesting Arkham cities. It also seems like by making it rain all the time and every source of light being bright neon, it covered up a lot of details of the buildings. Or the fact you barely got to see any of the city, as half the game you were whizzing around at the speed of light in a Batmobile seeing everything as a blurry mess. Or anything you could see was destroyed as you smashed Gotham to pieces if anything got near the thing. Yeah, you know, the city you're trying to save. I swear, Batman in this game does more damage to the actual city than any of the supervillains. So I guess I'll talk about the Batmobile now, because it's pretty much either hated or loved. So I think the Batmobile was fun when it was a car, but did it really have to do everything that Batman could already do? Like, why did Riddler decide the ultimate test of intelligence was racetracks that you weren't allowed to lose? And why did almost every Riddler trophy have to be obtained by using the Batmobile? No matter what you think about the Batmobile, you have to agree that there was too much of it, and it limited the stealth and Batman combat sections with repetitive drone fights. But the bit that made me hate the Batmobile most is when it was used as a stupid stealth section, sneaking up on other tanks, then driving away quickly. Who thought this was a good idea? It was awful and slowed the gameplay down and added unnecessary game time. But then it was later used as a boss fight for Deathstroke. Now this was just straight out insulting to any fan of Deathstroke and was a major letdown after his fantastic Arkham Origins fight. Also, name one good boss fight in the game. You would think that the Arkham Knight would be an awesome hand-to-hand combat fight, but they decide there of all places is where the Predator section should have been. They probably realised they didn't have enough throughout the game and added a poorly designed one at the end. This takes me to the story of Arkham Knight and how nothing makes any sense. Taking place after the events of Arkham City, but the only thing that it takes from that is the death of the Joker, because any character's development or any other events that happen in City apart from Joker's death, which honestly isn't even mentioned that much, is non-existent or was released as DLC later. So Scarecrow's plan is to flood the city with fear toxin. Gee, didn't see that one coming. However, he orders the evacuation of all citizens, making the city feel lifeless, but more importantly, meaning no actual innocent people apart from maybe the cops would be affected. Also, what is his motivations? Last time we saw him, he was dragged under the water by Killer Croc in Asylum, then nothing in City apart from his mask and a cool Easter egg on a boat. But now he comes back, is way smarter, and has control of an army. Huh. And then there's the Arkham Knight. The highly hyped up, totally gonna be a new villain. And the identity of the Arkham Knight is... spoilers, Jason Todd. I don't get who this reveal was meant to appeal to, as fans of the comics instantly thought it would be him and were hoping it wouldn't be, and people who only know the lore from the Arkham series had no idea who he was, until that very suspicious Joker flashback that came out of nowhere. So who thought this would be a good idea? Also, how does Jason have an own personal army? Last time we hear of him, he was being tortured and shot by the Joker. So how did he even get this army? And who the hell are they anyway? In Arkham City it made sense for Tiger to exist as it was a massive super prison. But here, why does it have to be another boring militia? We already had that in City. We didn't need to fight another one. The whole game basically struggles with who they want the main villain to be. Scarecrow, Arkham Knight, or Joker, because he's back as a guardian angel. It ends up with each villain having no character development and Scarecrow barely showing up, which is really annoying as Scarecrow is one of my favourite villains apart from Joker, because Joker's everyone's favourite. But I was really excited to see how they would make Scarecrow a great villain, but nope, they barely use him, and while Joker's great and all, he's dead and should stay dead. He has more screen time in this game than any of the others when he was alive. You wonder if anyone can actually make a Batman game without using Joker. There are so many interesting villains to choose from, but it's always Joker. Speaking of it always being Joker, why did they decide that Joker's poison blood was turning people into Joker? It's so dumb and makes no sense. Did we really need this? It takes everything great about the Joker being one guy who had one bad day. If you can just make someone Joker with his blood. Feels like there was 3 different stories going on. Scarecrow's plan to make Batman a failure or something by killing all criminals and his own people. Arkham Knight's plan for avenging Batman. And then Batman turning into Joker. Throwing an awful fake out with Barbara Gordon killing herself because this Scarecrow's toxin can make you see whatever Scarecrow wants you to see instead of your greatest fears. For some reason. His early toxin asylum seemed more effective than this one. and you have one of the most awkward, confusing plots in a video game. But the worst thing this game does is butcher the characters in any development they had in previous entries. Scarecrow's a completely different character, and Poison Ivy's character did a full 180 change from someone who wanted to destroy Gotham and had a burning hatred for all human life, to a damsel in distress who Batman needed to save, then was convinced to help save Gotham because plants were gonna die. While her character in Arkham Knight was definitely more humanized and a better character, there was no justification to why she became like this. If this was their plan all along, why was the last thing she said in Arkham City this?
I'll kill all of you.
Okay then. I think I'll be going now.
Yes, go. Join the rest of the meat. I'll destroy them all. First Strange, then Gotham. No one will be safe.
Start? I don't feel so good.
Catwoman was also set up perfectly in Arkham City by deciding to save Batman and lose all her loot, making her a key ally in Batman's life. And I wanted this to be very present in Knight, but nope. Surprise, surprise, she's a damsel in distress character who's literally a prize for Batman to win, aka saved by solving all Riddler challenges. And even after all that, you don't even get to free roam as her when she is saved, one of the coolest parts of Arkham City, and it doesn't even return. None of what the villains such as Two-Face or Penguin do makes sense either. They were in a gang war with each other in the city, and now they don't even care about each other and are robbing banks, and Penguin's doing something with weapon caches. Harley Quinn is just as awful as ever. In fact, in all the games, has she ever done anything in the Arkham series except get thrown around by Batman? How cool would it be if after Joker's death she became a ruthless, unpredictable crime lord who was an actual threat to Batman, instead of being the equivalent of an actual thug in the game? I thought that's what they were hinting at with Harley Quinn's revenge storyline. I don't even want to talk about Hush because that hurts so much. So much wasted potential. Which brings me to the worst character of all, Batman. Batman straight up just gives up in this game. How many times does he say this is the end or this will be the last time? They try to shove it down your throats about how this is the last Batman, that this is it, there won't be any more. It never actually says why Batman thinks this.
You know what this means. It's the end. This is the end. This is the last time.
This is how the Batman died.
Because honestly, nothing significant has happened that should make Batman think this. Scarecrow gasses Gotham, and Poison Ivy sacrifices herself to get rid of it, so there's not much of a problem there. God knows what Jason's plan is to actually kill Batman, because every chance he gets he says, nah, you need to suffer more, so not much problem there either. And then at the end, after Batman says sorry to Jason ends up saving his life because now they're best friends or something. The same thing that Batman v Superman gets shat on for is in this, but hardly anyone acknowledges it. So Batman comes to this conclusion.
It means this is the end, Selina. It means we can't. I can't.
I will see you again, right?
No one will. Gotham needs something more, something worse to defend her. She needs a new myth. A legend more powerful than I can be right now. A legend that can only rise from the ashes of the Batman.
Why does Batman come to this conclusion? I'm pretty sure everyone's still scared of Batman. And if someone in a massive tank ran you over while electrocuting you, I'd be pretty terrified. It's not like Batman's not done anything to make him seem less scary. So why does he think this? Also, from the ashes of Batman. My god, Rocksteady, we get it's the end. So with all the talk of it being the end of the series, they leave the ending completely ambiguous. After his identity was revealed, he blows up Wayne Manor, hinting at faking his death. And when you're 100% the game, you get the true ending, which shows a demon-like Batman, which is most likely Bruce Wayne using fear gas or something. But it might not be him. Again, it kind of leaves it open-ended, which is fine, but I thought it would have a more complete ending. Oh well. Finally, the last thing about this game that makes it a bad Arkham game is probably one of the most insulting things they could have ever done. So after completing Arkham Asylum City, 100% in the story, most people would go to the challenge maps, where you test all the skills again in combat or predator encounters. In Arkham City there were tons, and some story-based ones completely different from the main game, and there were also make-your-own combinations that kept you playing for hours trying to get all the medals. So when I finished Arkham Knight, first thing I did was go looking for challenge maps to play as Catwoman, Red Hood, Harley, DLC that I'd bought, but what I see is AR challenges, and hardly any of them, and most of them were goddamn Batmobile sections. Oh, and on release you could only play as specific characters in a specific challenge. What the fuck was this? And then later they added challenge maps and packs as paid DLC. that you couldn't even use every character on them. This was just plain corporate greed, which really sucks, as Rocksteady was one of my favourite companies. However, not all was bad, as the game was still fun when it was an Arkham game. The voice actors were amazing, the presentation was also amazing, and if you enjoyed the Batmobile, then you'd have a blast with the game. It just didn't end the Arkham Rocksteady trilogy with an explosive finale like it was promised, and it ended up being worse than the previous games in my opinion. And I think this was because, like many others have probably also thought, that Rocksteady was done with making Batman games. And after City, they realised they had to make one more as fans were demanding it, myself included, but they tried changing the game to something that it wasn't, and it wasn't an Arkham game. And the result is a fun, but flawed game, but definitely not an Arkham game. This has been Cyberlock with my opinion on why Arkham Knight was a bad Arkham game. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and I'll be back soon. Thanks for watching.